Hey guys, I'm Dave, and this is Minshed. For those of you who have been following along, you'll know that I've been rebuilding a 2003 KTM250SX, and I've had my fair share of trials and tribulations. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'll leave links at the end so you can catch up. In today's video, I'll take care of the rats and mice. I'm going to strip the frame, clean up the brakes, the clutch, fix up that foot peg, and check out the triple clamp bearings. So as always guys, if you like my videos, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell and leave a comment. It all goes towards that algorithm and really helps my channel out and doesn't cost a cent. So having said that, let's get into it.
Okay, so I'm going to start stripping the frame by firstly removing the brake pedal and master cylinder. Quite a simple process when the swing arm and rear wheel are out of the way. Due to its age, there's all these mismatched nuts and bolts and fixings throughout the bike. I'll deal with these later on reassembly. The two bolts securing the ignition coil to the frame are next. If you haven't got a wiring diagram handy, it's always a good idea to take photos of what wires go where.
Nice bit of bent wire here.
It's actually part of the old cotter pin. This bottom hole is quite flogged out, so I'll have to weld that up. Might even turn up a bushing, weld it in there to give it some extra support. At least this side has a cotter pin or split pin. That one's slightly flogged out as well, but nowhere near as bad. The handlebar controls are next. I'll go through, clean, inspect and repair anything that needs it before putting it into storage to go back onto the bike later on. Okay, I just thought I'd show you how easy it is to change the brake pads on these calipers. They're designed to be done quickly on race day on the bike, so it is quite a simple process. Okay, I'm just fitting the front brake disc pads. Gone through and given the caliper and everything a nice good wash, nice and clean. I've lubricated the slides. So just whack these pads in there. That's the brand I've got, just off eBay. Pin. And the two clips. It's a tough one.
There we are. Pads are in. Simple as that.
The triple clamp is the last serviceable item to be removed. I'm hoping the bearings just need cleaning and re-greasing, but we'll soon find out.
Dear, bearings look a bit rough.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to replace these bearings. They're rusted and pitted and can't be reused. And lucky last, the CDI unit.
Okay, that's about as far as I'm going to strip the frame down. Next I'll give that a good wash and have a look at repairing this bottom foot peg mounting. Okay, so what we have is the left hand side footrest mount. The bottom part is flogged out. It's been repaired in the past. If I refit the foot peg and the pin, you can see the amount of wear in that bottom mount. And of course, when the spring's in there, the foot peg sits up and that looks odd. So we need to bring it back to this position. And what I've got to do that is a little bush which fits perfectly over the pin. So what I'm going to do now, I'll need to just open this up a little bit so that goes in there nicely from this side, and then we can weld it on, and hopefully that'll solve our foot peg issues.
So what I'm using is a pneumatic pencil grinder with a barb on the end, and I'm just taking the slightest bit of metal out so that the bushing will fit in nicely. The powder coating needs to be removed so the bushing can be welded in place.
Alright, it looks like a turkey flew over and shat on it, but it's not going to fall off. A grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't. Not too bad. Put some paint on that now. You won't even know the difference.
A bit of Etch primer first. For For the top coat, I'm using a black semi-gloss enamel.
Okay, let's install these foot pegs. I've given them a quick sandblast and a coat of clear, and they've come up quite nicely. So I'll do the right hand side first while I'm waiting for the paint to dry on the left hand side.
Just a little trick I use to get these foot peg springs in.
Okay, now the other side.
And there we are, the foot peg repair is complete.
Okay, so here I have the triple clamp, and I need to get this bearing off because it's no good. So I'm going to do it the way I do it. It may not be the right way, but this is how my videos work. I do it how I do it. It may not always be correct.
My tool of choice is the Dremel with a small cutting disc. What I'm doing is cutting away the bearing cage, and that will give me access to the inner race. And by the way, I am wearing my safety squints. Just joking. I've got my safety glasses on.
So what I've proceeded to do is to remove the race and the roller bearings, and I'm going to cut a groove on either side of the inner race, and that'll weaken it, and I should be able to pop it off.
Of course, I'm being very careful not to cut through the inner race and damage the post. Now that I've weakened the inner race, it can be knocked off with a hammer and a punch.
So that's how I do it. So, got a bearing kit just in from the MXstore, not a sponsor. Link to their website in the description. Let's hope it's the right one. Got a sticker. Always like stickers. Okay, let's open it up and have a look.
So we have a bottom seal and a choice of 2 top seals.
Okay, both bearings are the same, that's good. Okay, I think we're on a winner.
So the first part to go on is the bottom seal. So if you're like me and not lucky enough to own a bearing heater, this is how I heat my bearings. I use a bit of plate, heat it from underneath, and the radiant heat transfers through to the bearing. All the while keeping an eye on the temperature so the bearing doesn't get too hot and turn blue. So I just like to give the bearing a couple of taps to make sure that it's home. You can tell that it's home when the seal underneath can't be rotated. Greasing bearings by hand is not my favourite pastime. Maybe it's a Spectrum thing. But anyway, there's no other way to do it.
Pushing it between the outer race and the inner race, or the cage and the inner race. Forcing it down between the rollers. Messy job. The reason I didn't pack this first is because heating the bearing would have just melted the grease anyway. I'll get a clean bag and put over the top of that so it doesn't get contaminated. Okay, the other way. And probably the best way, but not necessarily the cleanest way, to pack a bearing. I don't like grease, or I don't like putting my hand in grease. That's a me thing. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel right. So, doesn't matter left or right-handed. Grab a wad of grease and just push it in.
There are tools you can buy that connect to a grease gun, but where's the fun in that?
Some people have it in the palm of the hand, it doesn't matter. Slowly rotate the bearing around as you do that. What this does, pushes the grease between the inner race and the cage and greases the bearings. Okay, that bearing's greased, and that's why I wear gloves. Okay, let's install this triple clamp.
So before we refit the triple clamp,
I'm going to knock the old outer race out. It's just a matter of using a tool like this, a drift. There's a ledge under there, slight ledge, and you've just got to contact that and drive it out. So I'll just flip the frame over and we'll do that. And there we have it. One old bearing removed.
I won't show removing the other bearing because it's the same process. Okay, we'll just flip the frame over again and fit the new outer race.
Give that a clean up with a wire brush. Okay, new bearing going in.
I'm using a copper hide hammer and a
Brass drift. Work your way around till the bearing's sitting in the bottom of the groove. Hear that slight pitch change? That means it's home. All right, time to put the triple clamp in.
So as you can see from the little diagram on the side, the order of assembly is the bottom triple clamp goes into the steering head first from the bottom, then the top bearing, followed by the steering head gasket, and the steering head cover. Next is the O-ring and the top triple clamp. And last but not least, the steering head screw.
The fork legs will need to go into the triple clamp before this can be torqued up. So that'll be later down the track. Hey guys, we've made it to the end of another video. I'm quite happy with the progress of this video. I've managed to get quite a lot done. I managed to replace the bearings on the triple clamp, repair that worn foot peg, and I was able to strip and clean all the components off the frame. So if you like my videos and you find my content useful, please consider liking and subscribing, hitting that notification bell, and leave a comment. It all helps with that crazy YouTube algorithm and doesn't cost you guys a cent. So until next time, keep the rubber side down, and I hope to see you on my ride.